days, so it's good seeing you. It's been a very, very long time. So nice to see you, and for thanks for all of your support, and have lots of friends that I'm seeing that are popping up on my screen. And I have spent a lot of time in your neck of the woods since becoming commissioner. Well, and also moving to Tallahassee. So I'm now in close proximity to our Panhandle and to you all, but really have spent a lot of time. First mission out of the gate was coming over and seeing the devastation firsthand from Hurricane Michael, and really spending time advocating and going up to Washington, D.C., meeting with our members of Congress and our U.S. Senate, to really pushing for a lot more of the Michael recovery funding. And then unfortunately, we saw a whole bunch of fires last year, so I've been back out there. And my fiance actually spent a significant amount of time growing up, and we now have taken over that tradition, coming out to Seaside and Rosemary, and spending a lot of time with the family out there. So very fond of our Panhandle friends. And even during my years in law school and back at the public defender's office in Gainesville, spent a lot of time back and forth on I-10 and 75, coming out to Pensacola and visiting some friends out that was stationed and commissioned out there at NAS Picola. So very fond memories, and really just so thankful to what you have done, not only for me, but really for the entire Democratic Party. You all have bent over backwards to really support our democratic causes, and turning so much of your area that is, traditionally these days red into blue. And I see Diane out there, who is a fierce fighter for your community as well. And thank you, Diane, for all that you have done and putting yourself out there as another strong female running for office. So really just commend you all for what you've been doing out there. Some of the things that I've seen just as now an elected official, that there isn't really an opportunity for you to get to know us, not just talking about stump speeches and really getting to hear what our issues are, but what makes us tick. What are some things that why am I doing these things? Why do I care, and why am I out here fighting? And so I just kind of wanted to give just a little bit of a story about who I am as a person, the things that I've been able to accomplish as commissioner, and then I'll close and let you all ask whatever questions you want. I'm a pretty open book. And I go back into, really started off in 3rd or 4th grade, that I had some issues in school. I was lagging behind some of my peers and colleagues, and had this incredible teacher, Judy Patel, who really saw such potential in me that she spent some time with me and my family, talking ways of how to learn differently, how to study differently. And, one of the things that she always told me is, so you might have to work a little harder, and that's okay. You've got the internal drive and the passion to do things, but it's going to take you a little bit longer, and it's going to take you to really kind of overcoming all these. And people always underestimated me, but I overcame so many obstacles, and all the people that were the naysayers, that I was able to graduate high school top of my class, and then go over to the University of Florida, where I spent 8 years, 3 degrees later. But I saw the same experience at UF. Got there and walked into my first student senate meeting, and here I come with, from Miami, and I've got tie-dye t-shirt and Birkenstocks, and all of my colleagues and peers in the student senate were all in khakis and blue blazers and white shirts and bow ties. And I was like, there is no way that I'm going to make it here at the University of Florida in this old boy network that they call, UF student government. And people, again, underestimated me. And I knew that I wanted to make a difference at UF. And I did. And I powered through it and overcame many obstacles to become not only Senate president, but also the head of our Supreme Court, and then eventually a student body president. And then I graduated law school and went up to Jacksonville, where I was fortunate enough to be hired by one of our big law firms in the state. But I was doing corporate litigation. And after about a year into it, I realized this is not why I went to law school. I went to law school to serve and to do good with my law degree, not to support corporations and kind of continue that corporate welfare aspect of our country. So I left, And I went to the public defender's office where I was there for 3.5 years, and walked in. Again, the state attorneys, always underestimate the public defenders, but I whooped their butts in court. But I also saw up close and personal what it meant to fight for people who have been underserved in their communities and who haven't had a fair shake in life. And I saw the injustice of the criminal justice system firsthand and knew that this was going to be part of my mission and part of my path forward. I eventually made my way back down to South Florida, where you heard I was defending homeowners during the homeowners crisis. And eventually I said, you know what, I really miss being in public policy and being in some type of government aspect. And so I started to do government consulting and representing Broward school boards, so fighting for education issues and fighting for our kids in the foster care system and fighting for the expansion of medical marijuana access. And what I saw all throughout my years was I was this junior lobbyist female from South Florida who was a Democrat, and doors were slammed every opportunity, and saw good legislation die, bad legislation pass that has horrific impacts on our state. And I got pissed. I got upset at the system that it's been rigged against the people of our state unless you are a Republican, unless you are a corporation or a donor, and saw that that was not how I envisioned public service. And that's when I ran for office. And I said, I'm tired of just talking the talk and yelling about these issues. Time to take action. And so here I come again, the last person in 2018 to qualify. And we proved everybody wrong. They said, how in the world can we win the Florida agriculture seat from somebody who has no agriculture background? I have 15-year practicing attorney, and coming from a South Florida, and they just thought that it was a write-off, that there was no way. This is a Republican-held seat. Republicans have typically won the seat in the last few decades by 20, 30 points. And there's just no way that I was going to be able to win. Donors said that to me, pundits, everybody who talks about politics, saw that it was impossible for me to win. And lo and behold, we overcame that, and we overcame those obstacles. And because of all of your help and all of your support and your belief in what we were able to do, we won. And now you have the 12th Commissioner of Agriculture as a Democrat, first female ever elected into the commissioner spot. And so since being there, we were able to start already accomplishing our priorities and the things that we campaigned on. For those who followed my campaign or saw afterwards, we were very strict on our messaging. It was the 3 W's: water, weed, and weapons. And so we'll start off with weed. Something that I campaigned on, something that I've been so passionate about, and came in, and day one, we hired a cannabis director, first in the nation. I received more applications for cannabis director than I did any other position in the entire administration. We saw applications from California and Colorado and Oregon and Canada and Israel, everybody wanting to be our cannabis director. So that was the first thing we did. Then we passed hemp here in our state. Again, everybody thought that I wasn't going to be able to accomplish that in my first legislative session, supported by Republicans. It passed almost unanimously from every single committee. And now we have an alternative crop here in our state that is going to be such an economic boom for our farmers, for entrepreneurs, for anybody who wants to get involved in the hemp space. Great for the environment, uses less water, less nutrients for grow. And it's going to be a crop that is going to be used to replace our plastics and styrofoams and concrete, using hempcrete instead. It's already cleaning up our waterways by absorbing the nutrients. It's really a win-win-win. We've got about 30,000 acres already that have been applied for and that are under grow, over 8,000 jobs. $150+ million already in our state. So this is a tremendous win for our state. Then we go on to weapons. We know that my predecessor allowed for 13 months background checks to not be completed. So I made a promise to you all that when taking office, not only were we going to get it right and start making sure that every single person has a background check and it's complete and accurate, but the other promise that I made you all was that I was going to kick the NRA out of my office. The NRA, we knew, had too much power and too much control over the Department of Agriculture and dictating how our licensing office went. Well, we showed the NRA the door. They have no entrance into our office, and we have won that battle, and we have done background checks and done it in a more effective and efficient manner. So just because we're a Democrat doesn't mean that we're going to take people's guns or not allow people to get their licenses. So we've cut wait times by 98%. We're back up a little bit just because of the pandemic, but 98% cuts. And then the third was water. And we came in again and cleaned house in my agriculture water policy division, have a new division director who is revamping all of our best management protocols and procedures. Hasn't been done for some crops in almost 30 years. And we are making a priority to do the balancing between agriculture and being able to protect and support agriculture, but also make sure we're holding them accountable to protecting our environment and our natural resources. But the other thing that you did when you elected me as commissioner is that you put me on the cabinet and as a member of our clemency board. And we were on our first clemency board meeting. We pardoned the Groveland Four, which is something that has been long awaiting for 70 years. But it took the Democrats to be pushing this issue to get it done and get it done right. We also just revamped our clemency process last week. Not fully satisfied with what we have done, but it's a good step in the right direction. And it would not have happened if I wasn't sitting there and you all giving me that support. And being a member of the Florida cabinet has given me an opportunity to hold the governor accountable, not just in the last year during the pandemic, but even beforehand, making sure that he's transparent, he's following all the laws, sunshine laws, and making sure that we're doing right by the citizens of our state. And then, of course, during the pandemic, having that microphone across the entire, not just the state, but entire country of what the governor has done here in our state and the favoritism that he has been playing to certain industries and corporations. And of course, now the vaccines on the rollout to his donors and to the wealthier parts of our state. Complete travesty, to say the least. But we've got a fighter, and I will continue to fight. That's what I was taught at a very young age, and I will continue to do so. So I'm going to end with this story. And it starts off with four numbers: 6, 7, 5, 3. Those are the four numbers that I won by in 2018. So I'm going to take you to the night of election evening. Everybody across the state are at their watch parties. I at mine. My family and friends are all downstairs. I'm upstairs watching the numbers roll in. And we started seeing my lead that had started in the evening go to zero. And I was down about 44,000 votes around 9:30, 10, where all of the TV and the pundits all declared Matt Caldwell's the winner. Matt Caldwell got on, his watch party, declared victory. And what did I do? I went downstairs and I said to my watch party, I said, we are not done. We are not done fighting. We know we have won this election. And so go home. It's going to be a long evening, which didn't think it was going to be a long 2 weeks, not just an evening. But I knew that we had no choice but to continue fighting, that we had such loss over the course of that night, losing Andrew Gillum, losing Senator Nelson, and that I was our last opportunity to continue fighting for the issues that we had campaigned on, the Democratic goals and issues that are so important to us, and not even just us, but for the citizens of our state. So we knew that we had to keep fighting, not for me, but for you. And with all of your support and with all of the encouragement that I received across the entire state of Florida, we became victorious and we won. And I know that I had that fight. Again, people were underestimating me and thinking that we weren't going to be able to pull off a victory, and we proved them wrong. And it was all hands on deck. So many of you were going to your precincts and going to your supervisor elections offices and going and helping to cure ballots and counting and being there present. And so I promise you, I will continue to promise you that if you stick with me over the next few years, we will have some more victories. We will bring home some more Democratic wins, and we will make a difference in our state because I've got you. I've got the support of so many of our citizens across the state, and we will be victorious because we have to. We have seen the Republican Party since '94. And the last time we had a Democratic governor, we have seen what the Republicans have done to our state. They have rigged our system to benefit the corporations, the people that support them, and the people that vote for them. And that's not how democracy is supposed to work. Democracy is supposed to be a free market. It's supposed to allow people to have an equal opportunity to succeed and to give them the tools to do so. And they have continuously rigged the system, rigged the regulations to favor those. And we've got a lot of work to do. And it comes from you all and the grassroots that you do every single day in your counties and what you're doing to really turn the Panhandle blue. We have the right message and we just need to go sell it. So thank you again for having me here tonight, and I will turn it back over for some questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Freed. I know Davey's been keeping an eye on the chat box where people have been posting questions. So Davey, you want to ask a few questions? Looks like maybe we have about 10 or 11 minutes.
Okay, I've got about 5 or 6 questions so far. I guess I'll kind of start from the back and work my way up. Since you were talking about free, thank you very much, first off, before I start, Commissioner Freed, for being here with us. The question that we got here was regarding the Hurricane Sally here. We saw a pretty significant jump in the price of lumber and roofing supplies and stuff like that. And we're wondering what sort of investigation or steps are being taken to look at price gouging and those types of situations going forward.
Yeah, so, we get, basically we are the clearinghouse for a lot of the consumer fraud issues out there. When it comes to price gouging itself, that actually goes to the Attorney General. So if we actually get a lot of those reports and those claims, we go to the Attorney General. So if you are seeing this firsthand, I will put in the chat box my personal email to the department. I'm putting it in now. And so if you start seeing more of this coming up and what's going on, continue send them over to our office, and we will send them over to the Attorney General and continue to nudge her to do some additional investigation into going after those individuals for price gouging.
Okay, great. Thank you. I guess the next question we got, since we're going to talk a little bit about potential investigations, we've seen your call recently for the investigation into Governor DeSantis with regards to the pay to get vaccinated routine that we're seeing roll out across the state. Kind of what are the next steps? What is the status of that right now?
So we've done two things. One, we wrote a letter to the Congressional Oversight Committee asking them to do a congressional investigation. So that was one thing that we did a couple weeks ago. We are continuing to push. We have not heard back from them what action or what additional information that they need from us. So we are in communication and trying to make sure to push them to do something. Then we have spent some time with the FBI on 2 separate occasions. And so we have provided them with information. And as more and more of these reports are coming out, as we are seeing, we saw just last week, the text messages between that county commissioner and the donor. We also then saw the back and forth down in Key Largo between Baptist and what's happening there in Ocean Reef. And so as we're starting to see more and more coming up now, Baptist has claimed and have stated that they actually diverted some of the vaccines, which they already had people appointments already scheduled. They canceled those appointments to take the vaccines. So as we continue getting more information like that, we are submitting it over to the FBI. The FBI has basically told me they won't necessarily keep in touch with me. They then take this information and then they kind of go through the ranks and go up. So we do know that there won't probably be a lot of communication, whether or not they investigate or not. We just kind of have to leave it in their hands. The other things that we have done is, really talk to, I've got some individuals over the Department of Justice now that we have a new Attorney General for the country that is actually going to prosecute crimes, that we have sent some information also over to the Department of Justice in their public corruption units. And so we are waiting to see too if they are going to start investigating. And if they don't investigate and they don't see, actually that silver bullet to really kind of hang this on the governor, that it's going to be public opinion and it's going to be 2022 and making sure that enough people in our state of Florida understand what exactly happened here in the state. I have yet to meet one person, Democrat or Republican, who thinks that this is okay. This is something that this is our lives. And you're telling people that you're not, I feel like I'm back talking to the founders of our Constitution. These are people's lives and you're telling certain people that their life is more valuable than others. That's not okay. And that's what the governor is doing. And we got to be loud and we got to be vocal and make sure that, people understand that. And that's where we also have our messaging to our, to our rural communities and to those communities that have a lot of our blue collar workers in them, and be like, you all couldn't get the vaccine. I don't know why you all continue to be Republicans. They're not watching out for you. And so really trying to make sure that the people understand what happens when they continue to vote for Republicans. And so if the government and FBI and Congress and DOJ don't do anything, it's up to us. to make sure that he sees the door in 2022.
Okay, great. We're trying to get more organized up here as far as our communication. Here in Okaloosa County, we've done a fairly decent job of getting our letters published by the editor. So we'll definitely try to raise our public voice to that as well. The next question I got, which kind of goes into the 3 W's you ran on. Where are we with regards to the looking at Nestle with regards to the water that they're taking out of Florida for free?
Yeah, this is a big problem. There was some legislation by Democrats last year to try to make them charge some of this bottling water. The legislation went nowhere. And unfortunately, it sounds like the governor and DEP re-signed a contract with Nestle at no charges. And in fact, it was very interesting. I saw last week the first ever, and raise your hand if you've never, if I'm saying something incorrect in your eyes, I have never seen Nestle do a TV commercial. And last week I saw a commercial from Nestle talking, it was a woman who had been working in the factories for 20, 30 years and how important Nestle is to the community and how she takes her family to the springs and how important the springs are to her, it might just be airing in the Tallahassee media market to try to convince legislators to not get engaged on this issue. But this is something that we have raised concerns on. But again, this is going to be something that I don't have the power to stop. So it's going to be the people stopping him in 2022 and trying to reverse some of these just horrific policy decisions by, again, not just Ron, but the last 20 plus years of Republican governors.
Okay. The next question we've got is regards to one of the bills that's being floated around about putting a cap upon THC. Do you have opinion or any steps you want to talk to us about regarding that?
I have a lot of opinions on this. I have penned emails. I actually did a video that we released last week. I'm in every article talking about the THC caps. This is a tax on our patients, point and blank. That there are some Republicans who felt last year or 2 years ago that the governor forced them into allowing smokable flower to our patients. And so this is part of their retribution to the industry, to the patients, and to the governor's office trying to cap the amount of THC in our products. As somebody who watched my mother go through cancer and chemo treatments and saw her, struggling on the floor after chemo treatments and knowing that 10% of THC was not going to help her. This is something that they are so misguided on, don't understand the science, don't understand that, first of all, the genetics isn't here. The amount of money that it would cost to these producers to destroy the plants that they currently are growing, find new genetics, bring the new genetics into the state of Florida, and then grow to a capacity that can take care of the patients. We're talking about years. And so the patients are the ones who are suffering here and having to spend more money, or worse off, go back to the illegal market to buy their medical marijuana, or worse off, get addicted to opioids again and other pharmaceutical drugs. So this is a horrific policy decision and policy push that has no legitimate reason. I have yet to meet one person, not only just in the state of Florida, but across the entire world, who has ever used medical marijuana or just marijuana in general, that was like, you know what? I had a psychotic breakdown because I smoked weed. That just doesn't happen. And so they're pushing this fake science that's out there on this issue. So not only have I been able to use my voice and on emails, both to my email listserv, putting it onto my social media, cutting those videos, put out for Florida for Care, which is the group that helped get the constitutional amendment passed. I also spent today walking the halls of the legislature to lobby against the THC caps. I have a good feeling that we're going to get there and that we're going to win. But this is just another example that they have just defied the will of the people. There were 71% of us that voted for this in the Constitution. And every step along the way, when we pass good policies in the Constitution because they won't do it in the legislature, they come back and think that they're smarter than everybody else and try to make legislative changes to change the will of the people and what you all voted for in the Constitution.
Okay, looks like we're running out of time, but I've got one more question that's popped up from several people, which is, are you planning on running for governor in 2022?
You know, in 2018, after that night, I would have never thought that this was even a possibility. First of all, I was hoping that Andrew was winning with me. But, you know, quite honestly, after seeing what this governor has done and his lack of empathy for our state and the policies that are coming out of his office. I mean, look at what his priorities this session. He's got three priorities this session. First one is his anti-protest bill that has absolutely no reason to be passed except to put more Black and brown people in jail and prison. That's the only reason, okay? Number two is to take down the big tech companies. He is catering to an audience of one who happens to now be a resident of our state. And his third piece of legislation is to do a power grab from the Florida cabinet and put more power underneath him. Those are literally his three priorities. And if that is the priorities of the governor of the state of Florida in the middle of a healthcare pandemic, I think he missed that part of, you know, Yale undergrad and Harvard Law School. They teach you about the Constitution and public service and doing good in life. And so as I see this, and as more and more people are calling me as our only statewide elected and encouraging me to run and believe that I'm in the best possible posture to take him down. It is something that we are very seriously thinking through, but this is not just about me. I'm talking to family members, and because it's all hands on deck. It's not just me on the ballot. It's my family as well, who will be out there sacrificing, not seeing me at family meals and dinners and celebrations, and them campaigning too. But it's also you all. And, you know, again, it's not about me. It's making sure that we can win in 2022. And so I'm talking to a lot of people, taking this very seriously, because quite honestly, you all in the state of Florida deserve so much better than what you've been getting.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. And whatever decisions you make, we appreciate the work you're doing and hope that we can continue to work with you in the future.
Absolutely.
I'll turn it back over to Tracy.
Commissioner Freed, thank you so much for joining us. And for those of you that are in Escambia, Lil asked me to remind you to hop off this call and go to your DEC meeting. And for those of you that are from Okaloosa, stay on this call and we're going to have our DEC meeting. So everybody else, thank you for joining. And thank you, Nikki, so much for coming to visit with us.
Thanks, everyone. Be safe out there.
Am I supposed to hang up and find another link?
For folks in Escambia, you have another Zoom link for your meeting. If there's anybody here from Escambia who's still on, who could talk people through where to find that, I think Lil sent it out in an email.
I'll put it in the chat here so you can get it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
I think she put it out at the very beginning. I was trying to scroll back to it.
Oh, okay. So we'll get that for you. Davey, are you or Brian or somebody finding it?
I'm looking.
Here it is. I found it.
Thanks.
Okay, now me.
Thanks, Phil.
Oh, good, thank you.
Okay, it looks like we've got mostly Okaloosa peeps on. Hi, everybody. It's good to see you all.
Hello, Tracy and everybody else.
Hey, Dwight. Good to see you.
Can you hear it? This is Jill.
Hey,
Yeah,
Jill.
Jill, welcome. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Just while we're getting settled in for our secretary, Lisa, I just want to get clear on who a few folks are. Lisa, the person who's showing up as owner is Dwight Polk. We have somebody with a phone number ending in 7959. Can you identify yourself?